Say you get to the end of your contract and you are Mitch Haniger. You're going to want a lot. And at the end of his contract, right now, Mitch Haniger is 30 years old. End of his contract, he'll be 32. Are you going to want, as a 32-year-old, to get the biggest possible contract that you can if you are able to play the way you're playing this year, next year too? Absolutely. And if you are continuing at this level, you could end up making an $100 million contract. And I wonder if the Mariners are actually willing to give that kind of a contract to Mitch Haniger when he's 32. It's easier said that you would like to do it than actually following through the more that you think about it. Because you give him that big-time contract. We have seen guys at the other side of 34, 35, and all of a sudden their play falls off significantly. You're essentially, when you give these guys long-term contracts and they're in their 30s, you're basically saying, yeah, the first 3 or 4 years are going to be great, but the last 2 are probably going to be, a loss. You're not going to be getting the return on your investment that you would hope for. And obviously, to an extent, we saw this here with Robinson Cano. How the Mariners were able to get out of that contract is honestly miraculous, and get Jarred Kelenic out of it as well. I bet the Mets are pretty frustrated about it, Metsing it up, sort of like Taijuan Walker did yesterday with that entire deal. But if you are in Mitch Haniger's shoes, would you be willing to take an extension? Say the Mariners offered you one now. Because obviously, I think that should be something that the Mariners should do. They should test the waters, gauge to see what it is that Mitch Haniger is looking for. But if you're Haniger, you want to bet on yourself. And if you are looking at a guy who is going to ultimately bet on himself, then maybe it is in the best interest of your team to trade now while you will get the absolute most value in return. It's a difficult spot. I don't think that you should 100% feel one way or the other about the idea of moving on from Haniger, because there's a chance that he might move on from you, and then what happens when that happens? What do you do when that happens? How do you react to that? So that's the question of today's show. If you're in Mitch Haniger's shoes, would you sign an extension with the Mariners after this season? Some texts. Haniger is great, but it's time to cash in. Another text from Craig. Don't trade Haniger for less than anything that puts us in the playoffs this year. In other words, keep Mitch. I would like to keep Mitch for this season. Might not be that simple, though, because, again, his value is never going to be higher. Another text. Don't trade Haniger for prospects. We have plenty of prospects. He's a proven major league player and the best position player on our team. Keep him, writes another texter. Trading Mitch Haniger is absolutely insane. He is exactly the person we're trying to trade for. Why would you get rid of the person who is exactly what we have here for the future? Well, you don't know that you are going to have him for the future. You don't know that. That's the wrench here. You do not know that he is going to want to come back if he hits free agency after the 2022 season. And yeah, you're thinking way down the road here, but I mean, that's why he's got so much value going into this trade deadline, because he is not just a rental for somebody. He is a 2-year player. I would offer a 5-year, $15 million a year contract now. That's a fair one. But I bet he thinks he can get more with the way that he is playing. I bet he thinks that he is trending up as far as that goes, and of late he definitely is.